What's going on? What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of What the Game Means to Me, our Atlanta Hawks Fly Through edition. Got my guy, the Hoopers Pod, John with me. So should be with us in a little bit. How you doing today, sir?
Good, man. How you feeling tonight?
Great. Always a pleasure to have you guys on. And then former teammates on some of my Falcons fly throughs before. But my good friends Ryan Thurman had to bring him on for episode 4. So how you doing today, man?
All is well with you, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Of course, like I said, I think I put it in the description. We're not trending in the right direction, but that don't mean we can't talk about the Hawks. So first things first, I guess we'll start off, just talking about the last 10 games. Pretty much all those games have been without DeAndre Hunter since his injury. We haven't been looking too hot, but been 2-8 in the last 2 games. I think our only wins have came from Toronto and
Washington
Wizards, yeah. So pretty much, I guess, just reaction, thoughts, how you guys feeling, about pretty much our first, these within these 10 games and just the games overall that you've seen them play since DeAndre has gone down.
I think this was a time, like say, DeAndre has missed the last 8 out of the 10. This was a time where Cam Reddish should have been stepping up, and he could have been providing some of what DeAndre Hunter was providing, especially on the defensive end, and just trying to figure out the offense. I know Trey and John is kind of off right now because everything's going on with John in the front office. But these last 8 games, Cam Reddish hasn't really shown anything, honestly, and he's the key right now with DeAndre out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Cam Reddish kind of had some similar issues while at Duke, even though he was overshadowed by RJ Barrett and Zion Williamson. He still has some, questionable habits at Duke, and those habits are being on display right now. Honestly, man, the Hawks, they're lacking accountability. That's what I'm saying. I think that there's nobody, even the vets that we signed, like I think no one is really holding each other accountable. There are a lot of questionable turnovers, decision making from our starters, and I just think that with the type of team that we have, like the player personnel, we have winners. These guys know how to win basketball games. I'm pretty sure you have a couple of people who won some high school titles. You have some people who's won some college titles. So they, these guys know how to win basketball games, but for some reason it's not working right now. And honestly, I think it boils down to accountability.
Yeah. Honestly, you can go first, John.
Because like we bring in players like Rondo, you expect him to hold players like Trae Young and John Collins, the young stars of the team, to a higher standard than everybody else already. You giving up 40 in the fourth quarter. Somebody got to look and say that's my bad or something's right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just second both of you guys. Like I said, it's really a lot of accountability. Even with these certain guys being hurt, Gallo was out for certain by the time I think he's been back with the last maybe 4 or 5 games. Rondo is always just kind of in and out. But even with that, like you guys are saying, just that veteran leadership, even being on the bench, that presence, supposed to translate some way somehow in the game. Like you said, it's quarters we're giving up 40 plus points, and quarters we can't score damn near 15, 20 points. So like you guys saying, like it just accountability, I guess, across the whole. And I know it's obviously it's hard with the coming into the season, not really having much of a a training camp, not much of really OTAs, whatever the case may be, nothing really concrete. And then we haven't had a healthy roster since probably the first game of the season. So, but there's other teams, of course, dealing with the same thing. Look at Portland, but look what Dame is doing. And then, I guess names could go on and on. There's guys in and out of the lineup all the time. So, even though it is veteran leadership, like you guys are saying, Cam has to step up. He's supposed to step up. And there's a guy I guess I want to talk about a little later, Sean with May. He had him 2 solid little games in the minutes that he had to play. Skylar May. I don't know why I said Sean. Yeah, Skylar May. So I guess, like I said, moving on, I guess, a little bit from the 10 games. We'll probably touch on it in a little bit in a second. But obviously, like I said, the 2-8, the 2-8 record of the last 10 games has probably been heavily due to DeAndre being hurt. But I guess what are you guys seeing? Well, one, I guess talk about his progress that you've seen so far, and then why or why not do you think it's so detrimental that he hasn't been in the lineup? Do you think it should be as detrimental as it's been showing, or do you think like we have the guys that's capable of stepping up and, you know, kind of filling in his role, filling in with those 17, 18 points he was putting up a night?
I honestly think it's mental, because I think as basketball players, and when you're playing the team sport, there's some players that you rely on. Mm-hmm. And DeAndre Hunter was a player that they started to rely on and trust more. So he was kind of like snatched from us, because the play that happened against the Wizards, I just thought he banged knees. We didn't expect him to have the type of injury. No one expected him to have surgery. So I think when you start relying on players, you get used to running the offense through them and depending on them to get a basket when the offense is being shut down by the defense and whatnot. And sometimes you can kind of get stuck in that mode, and players, it's kind of hard for players to adjust to try to step up because they're so used to letting another player play his role. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we may be asking for a lot for Cam Reddish, but one thing that I also noticed with the Hawks, the media babies them sometimes. They baby them. Yeah. And they think it's okay to make these mistakes. They think it's okay to, we're young, we're growing. Yeah, that may be true, but at the same time, we're still not, it's one thing to grow and develop and in progress, than just continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. Because as you can see, these last several games have came down to the same mistakes. Yep. Starting the game slow, not coming out with a sense of urgency. So I think when DeAndre Hunter is your main guy, it's hard to adapt to step up because you're so used to how things used to be while he's here. But it's a no excuse league, so exactly they have to figure it out.
I think just to piggyback off you a little bit with DeAndre Hunter, he's what a player like Trae Young needs first and foremost. Trae Young being a small guard, he's not gonna get to the lane as much, but DeAndre Hunter can get some layups, build momentum that way, and then work his way out. So when you take that out, and neither Cam with his athleticism or Kevin Porter with his shooting is replacing that, and then you lose who I think is top 10, 15 defender as well. You will see those 40-point fourth quarters. You will see, like I say, not playing with a sense of urgency, because regardless of how well Trae is playing, he kind of eases his way into the game with those jump shots, trying to, foul bait a little bit. And just speaking on his progress, like he had progressed a lot this year. I think he was running in the early runs from an improved player, honestly. And just to lose that is taking a lot out of the team, honestly. And they do get babied a little bit. Like, even though in the offseason they were saying how they were, the new destination for free agents and whatnot. But they got to learn and develop and grow.
Yep, exactly like you guys just said. Because that has been the excuse, that we're still young. Our best player right now, obviously Trae Young, or supposed to be, he's gonna be the face of our franchise for the next few years. Is what in his third year? Yeah, John's fourth year, and then Cam and DeAndre, in their second. So those are our building pieces, or even and Herter too as well. My fault, forgot about him. In his third year as well. So our building pieces are still younger, whatever the case may be. But like you guys said, eventually there has to be a time where you got to take that next step. Like, they're losing very winnable games, and that's going to be our next topic is the fourth quarters. And me and Ryan, we're very, very fond of, fourth quarter blown leads, being fans of, like I said, the Falcons. But now it looks like, it's translated over to the Hawks. So I guess, like I said, just transition, I guess, to the fourth quarters now, because, the one that sticks out in my mind the most within these 10 games is the Dallas Mavericks one when we played there about two, three games ago.
Yeah, last Wednesday.
Yeah. To where, like, it hasn't, like I said, I'm in those little groups, and it's been kind of like, the same things. Like, we can't score, and then there's times where, we let teams go on a run. The Indiana game as well. They put up, 41 points or something like that in the fourth quarter. And I think I saw a stat yesterday. We're the worst team with fourth quarter point differentials in the league this year. So I guess what do you guys, I guess, maybe seeing that we're doing wrong or right, or obviously not right, but wrong in the fourth quarter from what we may be doing right in the first three quarters, and any changes that we may need to make, or that just something that you guys are seeing to where we just fall off a cliff in the fourth quarter and kind of give up those leads.
I think it's the laziness of the turnovers. Honestly, it's a lot of bad passes, just being lackadaisical. Trey, and when he hits those shots as well, like it builds momentum. And when he misses those long threes, it just sucks the air out of the offense because it's like it's a knockout punch. But it's like, if he misses it, long rebounds. Now we got a layup, turnover. We got another layup off a steal. They're not giving Trey those fouls anymore at this point. So now you're throwing up bad shots. John Collins, now he's forced to take mid-range shots because he just want to shoot the ball at this point because he just want to touch it.
Yep.
The whole offense is out of rhythm, because of just laziness, honestly. And Llyod Pierce got to get it together. He got to work on his timeouts and getting that team back together when they lose.
I honestly think the Hawks go away from what works. If Clint Capella has 15 points and 12 rebounds off of post-ups just by giving him the ball, why do we stop? And the Hawks make basketball so difficult because Trae Young, for his first 2 years, he was a go-getter. He's going to get a bucket. He's going to create something. Now he doesn't know if he wants to shoot a floater or a pass. And most of the time when he's indecisive of what he wants to do, he turns over the ball. So he's turning over the ball. He's not scoring. The team feeds off of Trae Young's energy.
Yep.
If Trae Young isn't scoring, the lobs, Trae Young has proven that he can do this. So they simply go away from what works, and that's what has been punishing them in the games that we've lost, where they will go away from John Collins, go away from Clint Capella, or Trae Young will stop being aggressive. And then not to mention, like just last night in New York, nor Trae nor John Collins scored in the fourth quarter. And we only lost by 11 points. So I blame it on the players not realizing, hey, Clint been eating all day. Let's feed it. Because if you look at Lakers games, Anthony Davis is in the post every time. Every time, because they know they can't stop it. And that's how they win against Lakers don't do nothing special. They do the exact same play over and over again. They keep feeding whatever works until they stop it. And the Hawks just have to realize that. That's just court awareness. And if I wanted to take it to Llyod Pierce, I think Llyod Pierce does an excellent job preparing for these games. I just think that his approach to the game and the approach to the type of players we have doesn't translate. Sometimes you got to meet the players where they're at. Obviously, we're not mature enough for the way Llyod Pierce sets it up, because I think Llyod Pierce has a great strategy of how, just listening to some post-game conferences. Now, last night, whatever he said, I highly disagree with what he said. However, just, he gave that whole rundown on when the reporter asked, what do you mean on how do we feel you, or how do they feel us? And he did a very great description. But also, I just think with the personnel that the Hawks have within our players, he has to meet where they're at as far as like their mental and just how they see the game, because obviously whatever he's doing isn't translating. So,
yeah, definitely. I agree with that, because Llyod Pierce is one of the better young coaches in the NBA.
Right.
And he gives his players the freedom to make those choices as well. Like he let Trey fill the game out, he let John fill it out, but they do get unaggressive. They do go away from throwing the ball down to John in the post a lot. Even do some pick and pop stuff with Trey and John, and then after that, the offense is kind of gets stagnant, honestly, because they can't find their shot, and that goes with having DeAndre Hunter out as well, who could take somebody off the dribble as a bigger perimeter player.
Now, my guess when it comes to our coaching situation, I think if we make the playoffs, Llyod Pierce still won't be resigned. if we miss the playoffs, he's definitely not getting resigned. And I think that it's I feel like Llyod Pierce should still be a part of our staff, but I don't think he needs to be our head coach. Now, do granted, and I think, you know, we can all take account for this. We're tired of the mediocrity. We're tired of being average. We're tired of being the middle of the pack. Atlanta is a great place to live at. And we have the potential of having great sports come through our state. However, I just think that when it comes to Llyod Pierce, just a new coach, period. I think we need an experienced coach who knows how to coach a player like Trae Young. Because I honestly think Llyod Pierce hasn't really had a player like Trae Young. And I think Trae Young needs a certain type of coach, like a Jeff Van Gundy, per se. And I think that's the type of direction that the Hawks should go in when it comes to looking for a new coach, if that's the case.
Yeah, I guess I'll go back and then bring it forward to what you just said, Ryan. But the first thing is, and I think both of y'all pointed it out, you can't have two of your best players, your best scorers, not score in the fourth quarter at all. Like, if you would have told me that and I not watched the game at all, which I did watch the game, I didn't even realize John didn't score. I knew Trae didn't score, and you told me that, I'm like, yeah, of course we lost, and I would have thought we lost by more than 11 points. So that's the first thing. Like, you can't have your two best scorers, not score in the fourth quarter, crunch time minutes. Second thing is, like you just said, we do kind of go away from things that that work sometimes. I know we talked about that with the Falcons, like, run the ball when we're up, mix it in, play action. Don't just run the same, okay, run, then pass on third down. Like, same thing, I guess, with the Hawks. Like, I think they get flustered sometimes when either teams make a run and they can't score, or they just, like, both teams are kind of going back and forth and, like, they can't get a stop necessarily. So it's like, I think, like you just said, maybe the maturity, maybe a mental thing, when it comes to that part. But at some point, you said, you're an NBA player, you got to grow up, you got to mature, and you got to, realize, like you just said, like, yes, Trae, like, the other, was it 2 games ago, he didn't shoot a 3 all game. Right. It's like, exactly. Like, I don't know if that's just scheming wise with the coaching, like they're playing the greatest defense on earth to where he just can't get any type of 3 off, or it's like he's kind of going back to maybe that sense to where, when the news about John Collins came out, he was being real passive, and he's trying to get other guys involved and not wanting to score and be a little bit more aggressive. I don't know if I guess was resorting back to that way because of maybe the defense I was being playing on. I don't really know, but all in all, I just know, like, that's one thing that can never happen, and we expect to win the game. Our 2 best players not scoring. But like I said, just to fast forward up to what you were saying as well, because I'm always in these group messages and just reading kind of what they're saying, and it's kind of weird because I guess what Llyod Pierce, he came from obviously Philadelphia, and was he was mainly known for player development. He was mainly known for his player development. So that's, I guess one of the bigger reasons why he was hired and brought here to Atlanta, because, we was having a young and upcoming team. We had these draft picks. Obviously, we had just brought Trae, Herter, and everybody in. So we figured he would be able to take these guys, to the next step. And I'm not saying he hasn't been able to do anything for the development and growth, but, we have a 3rd year and a 4th year guy that kind of, like, everybody knows Trae Young's a star, which we'll get to later on in the show. Now we're having questions on whether we want to max out John or not, even though he's a great, talented kid. Like, what can he do? Like, kind of like, I guess what you were saying, Ryan, maybe obviously it's not logical. You don't really see that too much. Like, a head coach be kept on the staff and then we bring in somebody else to kind of, take over his reins or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But what, I think I read it. Someone said, like, it feels like he has a little bit too much on his plate because, he kind of went from player development coach to just, like, straight head coach. Like, he didn't really have maybe, like, that assistant head coaching, like, number of years to kind of build up to, being a head coach and put it all together, per se. Like, it's kind of like he kind of, like, jumped and almost, like, missed a step or whatever the case may be. So someone says, like, it feels like he has a little bit too much on his plate, trying to develop them as players and men, and then also trying to figure out all the pieces that he has together and how it can work on the court. and how he can just transition obviously into wins. And then obviously, like I said, the fourth quarter, just finding the right matchups, finding the right lineups, getting them to just finish out games.
Right.
Like I said, whether it is being more aggressive or just honestly stepping up and playing defense, whatever the case may be. But I don't know. I'm still, maybe just because I met him and took a picture with him. I'm still on the Llyod Pierce bandwagon. I'm hoping somehow, like, when we get everybody back, healthy, and maybe they get some. Obviously, there hasn't been much practice time because of the way the NBA schedule is for this year. But maybe just getting everybody back on the same page, everybody healthy. We still haven't seen Chris Dunn. Obviously, Bogdan been gone since game 10 or something like that, maybe even before that. So I don't know, maybe something can help turn things around. I just know they need a win in the worst way.
Yeah. And I can't blame Llyod Pierce for taking the job, because if you're working in the
there's no way.
Black man, getting that opportunity is it's slim. You don't but I do kind of agree, because it's kind of like that Mike Budenholzer situation where he was the head coach and head of game operations or team operations or something like that.
Yeah.
So I never saw it like that, but I could take that into account. And like you also made a great point about Chris Dunn has yet to play. Bogey has been out, and even before Bogey got hurt, I don't even think Bogey had his best game with us yet. And because I know we didn't sign all that money to him for no reason, even though I really haven't heard. I mean, I've heard of him, but I didn't hear much about him before he.
He's a young old player from Sacramento.
Right. So, but we have yet to have a full team. So that's for one. So I will say that, and I do think that yes, we are tired of mediocrity, but we also haven't had our full team yet. So I know, and everybody's frustrated because we feel like even without DeAndre Hunter and without our key guys, some of these games were winnable games.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see the approach tomorrow night, because Nate McMillan will be the head coach while Llyod Pierce is back at home for the birth of his son, I believe. So we're going to see how Nate McMillan is as a coach. I don't know how much is going to change, because, it's not his system. And I know that he was running a good system with Indiana. And I think that, Travis Schlenk, he's a very wise guy. And he brought Nate McMillan onto the staff. And that's probably the guy up next if Llyod Pierce does not resign as the Hawks coach. So I'm interested to see what Nate McMillan can bring to the table for tomorrow night, and to possibly see, like, hey, this might be our coach moving forward if things don't work out with Llyod Pierce.
Yeah. I was like, John, I guess we'll switch it over, because I know I talked a little bit about it and Ryan just did too. But, is Llyod Pierce the right man for the job? And you did bring up a good point, Ryan, that he is going to be out, I think, the next maybe 2 games, the back-to-backs for Boston. Nate McMillan, obviously, what I know, of course, like you said, he's more of a defensive-minded head coach, and that's one of the big reasons why they brought him to Atlanta, because we were, straight booty in defense last year, and it hasn't improved too much this year. But maybe, like you said, within these 2 games, we'll see a small sample size of what he can incorporate into this Hawks defense of efficiency. But John, like I said, I'll turn it over to you. And one, I guess, do you think Llyod Pierce is the right man for the job, and kind of what are you expecting from the Hawks when he is gone for the next 2 games?
Oh, long term, I couldn't say. I think he's been good so far, especially just with Trey and John's development. Obviously, I think some other players are still a little bit behind the curve of where they should be to help this team. But even DeAndre Hunter, he's helped. Like I say, he's developed a lot from his first and second year. I think that's all mostly offensive. I think he should, even when he comes back after the 2 games, he should let Nate McMillan do more with the defense, because that's still a problem this year. That's how you give up 9 leads and 41 points in quarters. I think Nick McMillan's going to have to put more emphasis on the defense these next 2 games, honestly, because we know we can score. He knows they can score. Trey, any game can give you 35 plus and 7 threes. John Collins is a walking 2010. Kevin Horter can hit 5. Kevin Horter can be cold the whole night and hit 5 threes in a row.
Yep.
Right. Pell is basically a 15-15 player. I think Nate McMillan is going to emphasize defense. And if he has the defense looking better while the offense is still working, I think it'll be hard to not consider him as the head coach, especially if you don't plan on bringing Llyod Pierce back, depending on how the end of the season goes.
Right.
So I think this is kind of an official trial for Nate McMillan. Even if it's not for the Hawks, he can find himself on another team next year as a head coach.
Yeah, the Hawks definitely needs experience in their next head coach. Like, you know, I don't think we want to get another coach that's like his first year coaching. We need someone with a great track record of knowing how to produce wins consistently.
Yeah, I think I definitely second that. Like I said, I'm a big fan of his because, like you said, I do definitely see the improvements, like player development improvements. And like I said, even with Trey, we talked about it earlier this year in other episodes, John, about his playmaking ability is starting to come alive. What he's second in assists right now in the league. Yeah. John being a little bit more aggressive in scoring. DeAndre offense was exploding before he got injured. We already knew he was a great defensive, specialist. Cam, like I said, we see flashes here and there. That's the one I know we feel like, still a little bit behind the curve. And, I know we're still pretty big on him, though, because he has all the tools. He has the size. He has pretty much everything. He just has to start, like I said, just start to put it together.
At some point.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, I definitely see the player development in these guys and how they've grown. Even I don't even know how much of his hands that he's gotten on Clint Capella, but we saw him in Houston. Obviously, it was a different type of system. They were more so moving the small ball. They had Harden, who's ball dominant guy, and pretty much surrounded him by threes. He's a lot more efficient and useful in the type of offense, I guess, that we're running now. The pick and roll, lob, dump down, all that type of thing, clean up the glass, whatever the case may be. So like I say, he's done tremendous with these guys, but I guess I don't know if it's just sometimes maybe he has a little bit too much on his plate, a little too, I don't know, conjunctured or congested. Yeah, like when it comes down to these certain type of pressure situations, whatever the case may be. But like I said, I see definitely the improvements, but hopefully as a team, we just got to start making those steps versus individual improvement. Got to be team improvement at this point. And I think a lot of it is just because we had just such high hopes coming into the year. Right. Everybody saw how much, the signings that we had. We weren't expecting these guys to be, injured, within the first 10 games of the year. And, just all the development that we knew we was going to get. Like I said, we was getting experience. We got a great mix of old vets with young talent, and we just knew it was going to mesh. And the pieces made sense and they fit. So it was like, oh, yeah, at worst, 6 in the East. And then the way we started out, there was a lot of teams that was playing kind of and still are playing around 500 ball. But, we started out pretty well and was like, I think at a point, third or fourth, somewhere there in the East. And we felt like, we could pretty much keep at that pace. But like I said, it's just been kind of a letdown, losing as much as we've been losing in the way we've been losing. And I think it's the way we've been losing is what is really like starting to upset a lot of the people, that watch Hawks ball. So, but I guess switching gears a little bit, talk about, I guess some people would deem our second star. He's been in the news. He was in the news he's been in the news quite a bit this year. Yeah, obviously was speaking up about, the offense and the trade situation. We already talked about that. We didn't think it was much to it. We know, everything's good. He probably was, it's really like a little side conversation like, hey, it'd be cool to get everybody involved or whatever the case may be. You don't have to rely on yourself all the time, Trey. We're here to help or whatever the case may be. So now he's in the news, of course, because we didn't get a deal done in the offseason, extended him. He's looking for, max or somewhat close to a max contract. I know there's a lot of people that feel like he's worth it, feel like he's not worth it. I guess we'll start off with that. I know, John, I think we talked about this a little bit, but, how do you guys feel? Do you think he's worth it? Do you think he's not worth it? And then I guess we'll, just transition into, what do you think we should do about him?
For the Hawks, I think he's worth it because it's a homegrown second star. You don't really find players like that too often where you go back to back in the drafts and you get draft 2-star players, especially at 2 different positions where the positions match together. They can be a perfect pick and roll partner, pick and pop partner. Trey on some weak side stuff with John Collins in the post, vice versa. And it was just, this kind of always happens. You reject that first $90 million offer, hoping to get that max. And then, of course, you don't expect the team to start losing. If they're winning, there's no trade talks. There's no, we need to do more stuff in the offense where other players talk. is having a good time. Maybe All-Star talks, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see him get traded. Let's stop there. But if it makes sense, you have to do it.
Right.
Of course, you're asking for first rounders and future talent players.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a bad idea to trade him because now you kind of put in the Trae Young head. Or when stuff start going wrong, we're gonna start shipping players out. Do I want to be a part of that? And that's honestly an Atlanta, this sports period thing history. Like when stuff go wrong, we just start shipping players out and start bringing in the wrong type of players that don't fit with the other players, and then you lose a Trae, you lose a Dion who didn't necessarily want to be here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You just lose players like that in general.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I really hate that John Collins take the $90 million extension.
Yeah.
Because JC, look, I feel him. I feel him. He wants to bet on himself. He wants that type of money. I get it. But I think one thing that I think John Collins just hasn't accepted that 25-game suspension last year set you back, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So
it definitely
did. If they offer me a $90 million, and it's obvious John wants to be here. He loves it here. He wants to play for the Hawks, and he wants to win as a Hawk. But if I'm John Collins, knowing what I went through, let me take the extension, and maybe 2 or 3 years down the road when I prove myself yet again, then I can consider myself worthy of those max dollars. But and I'm glad that he betted on himself at the same time. If the Hawks look, Travis Schling is about business. Mm-hmm. He's not going to get too personal with some of these players. If you're not Trae Young, if you're not DeAndre Hunter, he's not going to get too personal with you. So I honestly think that John Collins has to prove that he can have a positive impact on the game while he's on the court. You know, John Collins, he can score 25 and 15 in a win, and he have 25 and 15 in a loss. Sometimes he doesn't have an impact on the game. So I think that goes to show okay, is he really worth those max dollars? Are teams worried about John Collins every time they come down the floor? Yeah, they're scouted for him, but they're not guarding John Collins like they guard Trae Young, because Trae Young can make an impact on the game. John Collins, if he scores, it doesn't matter. So John Collins has to be that type of player in order to receive those max dollars. And honestly, I believe that the Hawks want to win. They're going to make the best decisions for the team. And if John Collins is not in those plans, I'm sure that if they do ship him away, it's going to be well worth it. But in my honest opinion, he needs to stay in Atlanta. No doubt about it. He needs to stay in the A.
Definitely.
Because, I hate this. Who else going to dunk on people like John Collins? You know what I'm saying?
We need, so we just I don't know. Like you just said, both your guys made great points, and John, like you just said, just a homegrown talent. Like you said, we didn't used to really hit on draft picks like we had been the last few years, and that's obviously credit to Slink and his his crew. So to be able to do that, and he was a 20th pick, to be able to do, it's not even a lottery pick, to be able to do that, mid first round pick, that's a diamond in the rough. So it's like something that we're building and growing that we need to keep together, and not just just ship him off because we don't feel like, I guess, he's worth that true max, which a lot of us we can kind of agree. Like Ryan just said, I would rather him had taken like that extension that was offered, because like you said, I understand the betting on yourself and all of that, but like you did put the team in a position to not be where they could have been with those 25-game suspension, because I know we talked about in the first episode, if he's there for 5-6 of those games, there's no way we're not in the bubble as well. Like, what was 4 games out from the Washington Wizards?
Yeah.
He could have made a 4 or 5 game difference, and we probably would have been playing in the bubble. So stuff like that, I guess you kind of got to take into account. I know, I guess honest mistake by these guys. Sometimes, they talk with their health physicians and they're putting certain stuff in their body, and it may be, something that they don't know that is on the, not recommend, you can't take it list or whatever the case may be. So, I don't know. I really wish he would have took it, because like I said, we can see it. He loves playing with Trae. He loves the atmosphere. He loves playing in Atlanta. He just likes it here. So I would hate to see him shift away, but like you guys are kind of saying, I guess if it does make sense, then we kind of have to do it. And they're probably gonna, Slink probably will take that, pull that trigger. But I guess what do you guys think is, the right trade or the right pieces that we get back? Like, I guess kind of create your own trade scenarios, because what I've seen on Twitter, I know John, I know you too, Ryan, has probably seen it, and you're just like, what the hell? Like, there's no way that's gonna fly. Like, why? Like, and then you know how they be like, who says no? Like, John, for this, who says no? Like, no, I'm saying no. That's ridiculous. That's a stupid trade. Like, why would I do that? But like I said, what do you guys think is the right pieces? Like, what would you be satisfied with if we made this trade, for John? Or not for John, but
Yeah. I honestly don't know, because I guess it's what are you trying to build? Are you still building a young and developing team so you go get you some lottery picks? Or are you building a team that's not only going to the playoffs, but fighting to stay in the playoffs, maybe conference final, second round, final appearance, whatever. So it's like, I guess, do you want a player that already fits what you're doing, and maybe you swap him for Marvin Bagley, who, Dad said that he wants his son traded, but he's a better shooter, so you can still space the court.
Yeah.
Like I say, do you go find somebody who got some lottery picks to trade and keep developing and finding young talent? So I guess it's what they're really looking for. I don't know what we would trade for John at this point.
Yeah.
Like Marvin Bagley, if you just want to swap for a same position type player. Because other than that, you're going to go small and put DeAndre Hunter at the 4, and maybe whoever that is taking more minutes away from Cam.
Exactly.
So that's a tough one. I don't even know, to tell the truth.
Honestly, if John Collins was to get traded, or we was to do some swapping, what do the Hawks need? We need more scoring. We need another player that can create his own shot consistently. Like, when all fails, get us a bucket, take us to the promised land. Trey can do it. They need someone else who can consistently do it. And I think you pull the big gun and try to package a deal for a Bradley Beal. Or you try to package a deal, not necessarily package a deal, because I know his value is not as high as it used to be, but maybe a Victor Oladipo, who's a two-way player who can score and defend. And of course, we're talking John Collins, we're talking Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, and possibly a draft pick for a Bradley Beal type of player, or Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish for Victor Oladipo. You know what I'm saying? It really depends on what the Hawks can do, or how the Hawks can be better without John. Because think about it. If John Collins is out the equation, if you have Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, and Clint Capella. Clint Capella will probably get more rebounds, have more opportunities to score the ball in the post, where DeAndre Hunter might have more touches and more availability to do his thing. Kevin Huerter and Cam Reddish, Cam Reddish is more so a defensive anchor, but he could be a 3-and-D guy. Kevin Huerter can continue his shooting guard ways, and that can create more flow within the offense. Because small ball is, kind of the name of the game right now. And the Hawks are one of the only few teams in the NBA who has a traditional lineup: a true point guard, a true shooting guard, a small forward who can score and defend, a power forward who can score and you can rely on defense, and a center who basically controls the paint. We have a traditional lineup. So yes, it works in some aspects, but the Golden State Warriors have proven that small ball works, and I think that the Hawks are looking towards a small ball type of style, and John Collins doesn't fit because we have Clint Capella, who is obviously a better option on defense, rebounding, and just points around the basket, cleanup points. So that's my take on it when it comes to John Collins and who can we get for him, or if he's out the equation.
Yeah, that was a good point. It's like, because that's why I was thinking the same thing with John just said. Like, I feel like there's no one really at this point, at least in this season, that's really like makes sense or is worth trading him for, because like, how do we get better? And you kind of cleaned up and kind of, well, it all depends on, when, Hunter comes back. I think he probably would maybe through probably now I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks away.
Right.
But still has to probably go through rehab and all, a bunch of other things. Probably actually get in shape and everything, to be court ready, whatever the case may be. But that's like that, and getting like basically the only way I see us being able to get better is bringing in somebody that can create their own shot, because that's the one thing I feel like we are kind of missing. I think that's what people are kind of expecting Cam to be eventually,
Right.
is someone that can handle the ball and then be able to create his own shot, whether it is, driving to the bucket or, 1-2 step back 3, whatever the case may be. But that's the one thing I think we are missing, because, Herder's kind of like a spot up catch and shoot type person. I know they have him handle the ball sometimes, but I don't think that's really his game. Right. Cam really at this point, we kind of just like his defense kind of makes up for his offense at this point. Like we have him out there, we put him on the best guy or the best guard, whoever, is on the other team. And if we can get 16 to 18 points out of him a night, that's wonderful. That's amazing. That's great. Like, can't ask for more. Well, at least if Hunter was here, but like with him being out, we kind of maybe need a little bit more here and there. But regardless, I guess the whole point is like that's the only way I see us really getting better is if we did add like a two-way guy that can play defense and also create their own shot and get us a bucket at will, and then be able to, like you just said, we got Clint. He hasn't played much, but our rookie to back up Clint, and they're kind of maybe like the same style, same type of player. So like you just kind of said, like maybe moving towards small ball, because the one thing that we do have is our wings aren't small. They aren't short. They're lengthy. They're long.
Yeah.
They can play, like I said, and they can play both ways. So it kind of would be like going to small ball, but at the same time, we have a bigger small ball type lineup. So to me, I don't know. I just was seeing things, and I don't know if it was because I wasn't reading the full article, but a lot of people kept just saying, we're just looking for a first. Like that's dumb. Like if we're just looking for a first, and maybe like someone puts a first in like a rookie that don't play at all, like maybe 2-3 minutes a game, like that would just be dumb for me. That's a super setback, because we're selling a guy that's kind of proven in a way for what we hope may be in a I don't know if I guess they were saying a lottery pick, but what may hope can what we feel like can fluster into something like he already is.
Just to add one quick thing about that, because I saw that article where they said something about a lottery pick. I think if they trade John before the trade deadline and get that lottery pick, they can use that lottery pick as bait to get an actual real player from another team.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll necessarily use that lottery pick, but we'll use it to our advantage for a trade in the near future. Yeah. That's what I see.
You're right.
And that's the only logical thing that probably would, like I said, would make sense to me, because it makes no sense to trade a proven player for what you can hope you can develop into another proven player and set yourself back with 2-3 years. So yeah, I hope like if that was the case and they pulled the trigger on it, that's what we would do. And that, like I said, would just make the most sense to me all in all. But who knows? I think as a whole, I think we're all in agreement that we want him to stay and feel like he should stay, and we should, keep him, keep that, that pick and roll collective unit with Trey and him going. But if everything falls in place the right way, and I trust Slink, because he hasn't done anything so far to show like, he isn't trusting and making the right moves to put us in the right position. Like, so hopefully, like I said, all in all, if we don't keep him, if we do keep him, I feel like he'll make the right move. But yeah, I guess we'll switch over and transition a little bit away from the Hawks. We'll probably come back to him towards the end of the show. But I wanted to talk about, of course, the All-Star game supposed to be here in Atlanta. We got that news a few weeks ago. Let's share the screen. Don't got much, just got a picture right now. But share the screen. Like I said, it's supposed to be here in Atlanta State Farm Arena. Well, I guess it's just initial thoughts. Like I said, we all probably saw today. Keisha is not having it. We know the type of mayor that we have. I don't know for the people that's watching if they know the type of mayor we got, but she's like a mom, auntie, grandma type mayor, to where she gonna tell you, the real. So she already said, don't nobody come travel here to Atlanta, because it's we just putting the event on. Ain't nobody selling no tickets. Ain't nobody gonna be able to watch. So I guess to go back first though, what do you guys think about the All-Star game even being planned in general, and what do you think about it being played here?
Well, for one, it's proven that the NBA doesn't keep its word, because they said they wasn't planning to have an All-Star weekend, and now all of a sudden they have an All-Star weekend. So I know they're doing it for TV rating. That's it, and I know that's an extra paycheck for the NBA just having that broadcasted on television. I mean, it's cool or whatever, but we're doing. I think it's a bit much on the players because even Nate McMillan said in his post game today, he said it's like we're in the bubble. We're just able to go home.
Yeah.
Our lives are still different. I can't do nothing because if I go out, I'm putting my team at risk. So it's the fact that they have to travel here and they have to do all of this in these times. And yes, it's good because it's good for the fans, it's good for the organizations and whatnot. But at the same time, it's kind of pointless because we already we almost a year in this pandemic and we're nowhere near the end of it. And they're trying to normalize it, and people still getting sick. Still, this virus still real. So I can understand the frustration, and look, I just hope it's a great event, and I'm sure the NBA has something up their sleeve to make sure that it's worth the while.
Yeah.
First, I want to say shout out to Keisha first and foremost, because he has been open about that. Like, if it was up there, we would still be shut down on lockdown. Just going to the NBA and the All-Star game. You're right. They didn't keep their word. They kind of should have figured this was going to happen where they was going to need an All-Star game just to pick up another check. They should have said this might be a possibility of an All-Star game. Honestly, I wouldn't plan on paying attention to it. I'll watch. It's whatever. They plan on doing everything in the same day. Yeah. So I guess that's going to be, a little different. Maybe that might make it a little more exciting because you get to see everything back to back to back.
Right.
Enjoy it that way. But I don't see the purpose of it this year other than collecting the paycheck. Players are tired, even though this is what they're supposed to do for a living. A 2-week break wouldn't have been bad for them, honestly. Like where they could have just been got that energy back where they can make especially like LeBron looking for another championship. Giannis wants to get to the championship. Nets want to get to the championship. You got teams that need players that's going to need the rest. Kawhi could have used these 2 weeks off so he don't have to manage games after the All-Star break. And now you kind of putting certain players at risk of injuries who probably wouldn't have had these risks without an All-Star game where they would have had that break.
Yeah, exactly what I was about to say.
There's going to be a lot of lollygagging at this All-Star game.
It's not going to be
a just, hey, if you want to dunk, go ahead and dunk. If you want to have a shot, do it. Because that's been the name of the game this season. Right? It's a lot of, injuries that have happened and, due to players playing in the bubble and players not playing for almost a full year. So, look, Adam Silver, Adam Silver. It is what it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's the next thing I was gonna bring up because John, you said it. They're fitting everything in one day. And when I first saw it, I was like that's a little bit too much to me. Like, especially there's certain guys. I know it might not be like that this year, but there's been guys that have done all 3 all 4 events, not all 3 or 4, but done like 3 out of the 4 events, like skills challenge, 3-point contest, and played an All-Star game. I think Trey did that once. So I was like, why would they want to fit all that together? But like you just said, maybe just bringing more excitement. Like I said, we just get to see everything back to back to back. We don't have to really wait. But also at the same time, like you said, I wish they would have given the players this time because one, there's a lot of obviously just body rest, mental rest. Like there's teams like we just said the quick turnaround coming from the bubble wasn't good. So we've seen a lot of teams or a lot of injuries, affect certain teams, and then also the heavy packed scheduling of the NBA this season because they trying to fit 72 games and kind of the same time span and keep things on track. So we've seen a lot of back to backs. We've seen a lot of games in like 4 or 5 games sometimes in a week. So just giving them that, that week off, that rest. They could have did, I'm not always the biggest fan of it, but what did they do last year? They had a little 2K tournament, certain players playing against each other, like something light, something, small like that. Who knows? Maybe the players get to pick whoever they want to play, with them, whatever the case may be, and just put on some type of NBA 2K show, like something just real light and small. Because I feel like they definitely do deserve this time, with their families, time to rest, because they are risking coming to Atlanta, which has not really closed down at all. Even though I know, like, it's the NBA, they're going to take, better safety protocols and everything to make sure everything is put on safely. But at the same time, still, you never know. Like I said, it's kind of like one of the hot spots, not the hottest spot, but like I said, we all from here. It hasn't really shut down. So I don't know. I just feel like it was a big risk. And like I said, when they said it was coming here, I was like, that's interesting to bring it here. Like, if anything, you should have kept it in Indianapolis. I'm pretty sure they're not doing nothing out there. So I was like, kind of like it's cool, but at the same time, it's like I don't think it's cool for the players. I don't think it's overall it's probably gonna be a lot more ordeal than what it's worth. They should have just gave him that time off in general. So
I say this though, if they're gonna have it, I would mix it up as far as the skills competition and the duck. I would have players that we haven't seen before, like this is their time now.
Exactly.
Just to give players rest, because be somebody who wants to do 3-point shootout at the All-Star game or dunk contest, a 3-point shootout at an All-Star game. Like, kind of mix it up. Who's ever the All-Star this year, maybe limited to one extra event or All-Star participate in any other extra events. Just to keep, like I said, just to get some kind of rest in there.
Yeah, right. That is true.
That's a great idea. I was really just going to say that.
That's a great point. Like I said, for those that may be watching, if you are out of town, thinking if you're close, you think you're Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, ain't no point in coming here. Stay home, watch it on the TV.
I don't want to bring that snow either.
Yeah,
it's like y'all let.
I say the only people she may let in is Quavo and 2 Chainz, because they pretty much be courtside at every State Farm event. But yeah, I guess shifting over to a little bit of NBA news. I know we talked about Drummond last show, John, but now Blake, his former running mate, his name has been inserted into possible trade talks. So the one thing I think I saw it today, I guess we'll talk about this first. Stephen A said maybe a perfect match never for him to go back to the Clippers, but he has to apologize to Steve Ballmer. I guess what do you guys think about Blake possibly being traded, and where do you think the best destinations might be for him to go?
Honestly, man, with Blake, it's hard to put him somewhere because how injuries has kind of decimated his career. So I wouldn't want to put him anywhere that he can be a disservice to a team, because that's what it kind of looks like. He hasn't shown that he's the same player anymore. His best days were with the Clippers when Chris Paul was the point guard, JJ Redick, DeAndre Jordan, Jamal Crawford. That was his best days. And I honestly wouldn't even know where to place him. I wouldn't even want him in the Hawks on some veteran stuff. Sorry, not sorry. I mean, he's still a great player. It's proven that he's not helping anyone.
Yeah. Not yet. Because with Blake, of course, he wants to go to a contender first and foremost. But it's like, what contender really needs him? Denver, who really could use Blake Griffin at this moment? I'm pretty sure it's somebody, but he wants to go to a winner's zone. Not that they don't need him, but to your point, Ryan, like, who does he help make better or put over the top? Bring him in to the Lakers while AD is hurt, comes back. Now, how do you work that dynamic off? Does he come off the bench? Does Mark come off the bench? I did say that earlier, though. Maybe they get him and have him.
Yeah, I saw you say that, and I was like, I can see that working because
maybe back to the Clippers where they're still kind of void of that 4 spot now. Like they went all those years where they had a great guard, a great power forward. Chris Paul didn't have wings, and they got great wings, but not really great at every other position. Other than that, everybody else has a power forward though that they're pretty good on, especially the teams. I guess maybe Philly, because he can shoot it coming off. He can catch a shoot a little bit. He can create off the dribble. I think he works. I think he could work well next to him.
I also feel like, because they don't really have a strong forward presence that that I can think of right now.
Yeah.
But the Utah Jazz, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
Utah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Because Royce O'Neal is playing that stretch four.
Yeah,
So he can
that's
still
good.
start at
Yeah.
the stretch four, but coming off the bench, I think that's a something that could fill that void for the time being.
Yeah.
Like I said, no disrespect to Blake Griffin, but it is what it is, bro. If you were an enhancement to a team, Detroit would be playing well. I mean that's the reality of it.
That's
And another thing is too, I was thinking about because you said it, John, if he does join the Lakers while AD is out, because I feel like it's going to be a little bit more, or they need to keep him out a little bit more than the timetable that it was given, especially, messing with the, calf strain. Yeah. So, exactly. We already seen what that leads to, what calf strain, what we think calf strains are. But is he wanting to take a step back as well? To whatever team he does go to, and because wherever he's going, like you just said, he wants to go to a contender, but what contender really truly needs him? Like the Utah Jazz was a solid was a solid thought, solid answer. But other than that, it's like knowing that he can just step in, he's automatically about to start and get real true starting minutes. Like he's gonna have to take that step back, and is he comfortable and okay with that? Maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes a game off the bench. Like, do you guys think he goes that he's okay with that? I guess he is if he's playing with a contender, and I guess playing with guys that maybe he wants to play with, or what do you guys think about that?
I think time will tell. Time will tell. It's gonna. His agent is gonna have to tell him that if he wants to be on the team, that he's gonna have to accept that role. He's not a starter in this league no more. Now on a great team, so he's gonna have to accept that role.
I think he's definitely got to accept it. Will he accept it? For the right team, maybe, but I think he still wants to prove he can be a starter, even if he's on a bad team.
Yeah.
With all the injuries, he's still productive. But he's just not productive help as far as helping the team go, but he's still about 18, 20 points a night.
Yeah, I can see that. And what I guess real quick before we move on to Drummond, what do you think kind of deal gets it done for wherever he goes? Like a player, second round, two players, second round, a first, and the player. What are we thinking?
Probably a first and a couple players. Probably I don't know. It depends on where. I guess it depends on who's looking at him.
Right.
That was the point where they say it might be a buyout. If he gets bought out, he's definitely Brooklyn. I know there's been talk about the Lakers picking him up, but I don't know what the Lakers really have to offer Cleveland where they're like, yeah, we'll do that. So maybe a couple first. Cleveland still looks like a team that's building a team and not headed towards the playoffs right now. They completely turned around in a bad way this year. So maybe a couple first, a couple young players just to fill the pieces in. They got some pieces, and they still can move Kevin Love as well. That's another spot they can use a young player. They can use a young piece at.
Sure. You hear me, Ryan?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Oh no, same thing. I guess same coach. I guess like with Andre. The only teams I think I remember, we talked about on the other show him possibly getting bought out, going to Brooklyn. I think the Raptors are looking at him. And I forgot that another team. It was another team though. But basically, I guess what do you feel like? What team may fit him best, and what do you see? What kind of deal may need to get done for him to go?
Just for Andre Drummond, correct?
Yeah.
So honestly, I think Andre Drummond it's still a impactful player. I hate that there was a report out about Andre saying that he could score 30 points and have 20 rebounds but have no impact in the game. I think that's false. I think definitely with the right team, I think that he can make something happen. I would like to see Andre Drummond go to a team that's kind of lacking at that center position. I think if Boston want to make some moves, I think Boston can do that would be a big upgrade for them, but they would have to kind of trade some players away. Like Marcus Smart will probably have to be in that. Of course, I never knew how to pronounce his name. Who's number 27?
Daniel Tice.
Yeah, Tice. Yes.
Oh yeah,
he'll have to be involved with that if Boston wants to improve in that aspect, because that's something that Boston has been lacking for some seasons. You had Al Horford, you had Enes Kanter at one point in time, and then you had you got Daniel Tice. Andre Drummond will go well with Kemba and Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. in that system with Brad Stevens. So I think Boston would be an awesome destination for him. And I also would kind of like to see him. Yeah, I think Boston might be it. Because like I said, it has to be Boston. That's probably the best situation for him.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But Boston has to realize that they're gonna have to pull the plug on that as well.
Oh no, I think Danny Ainge did admit that he has lacked in making those type of moves in the past year. So maybe he realized that and make that big move and go get Drummond for him because he will help them, especially just around the boards, offensive rebounding.
Well, definitely.
Yeah, I think that would be a great situation for actually both sides. Honestly, even the Raptors too, though. They had a real bad start to the season, but I think the main thing I know they got Boucher, but obviously losing Serge and Marc Gasol wasn't the most ideal thing for them. So I think he could definitely upgrade their front court as well. But Boston would be immaculate to watch because. Like I said, they have been lacking sort of kind of a big man, and he is a presence around the rim, offensively. Defensively, I think he'll up his game as well there. So I think Celtics would be nice. I would like to see that. I think it would definitely push him closer to maybe a conference finals with the Nets. Yeah. So yeah.
Also,
the next thing.
Quick, my bad. Real quick, I'm happy for Andre Robinson. He signed with the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh yeah,
I would Brooklyn Thunder. So, happy for him.
Yeah, I forgot. I was gonna add the end there, but I was like, but I mean that definitely, the talking with them. Yeah, I was about to say the talk with them has just been defense. The last few games, and I know Steven off the box pointed out they've been a better defensive team. And I guess if he can stay healthy, that definitely helps their their on ball, their perimeter defense for sure. So definitely shout out to him, like you just said, the Brooklyn Thunder, reuniting once again. All they gotta do is pull the plug, somehow get Russell up there. I don't think they want that though, but next thing, a little bit NBA news we'll talk on, and then we'll finish out with our two early player awards for this year, but. Draymond Green had a few choice of words. Some people agreed, some people didn't agree today. It was quite interesting to see everybody's thoughts on it. But I'll kind of let the video play, see how loud it is, and then we'll probably talk over it. Oh. All right. Like I said, said a lot. Like I said, a lot of people agree with it. A lot of people didn't. But kind of just want to get you guys' take on it. Of course, what did you think about what he said in general, and do you agree or do you disagree?
I'm it's not that I don't. I definitely agree with some of the things he said because teams will trade a player just just because they don't think he's a good fit or just to get rid of some money. And even if he's in the middle of a good year, I think using James Harden this year was a bad example.
Mm-hmm.
James Harden was playing bad on purpose. He was talking about his team. He was talking down about his team on purpose, which as a professional player, even as a person who works a 9 to 5, you don't go to somebody else and bash your coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
You can't come back after that. Honestly, you have to. So, like, I can't really agree with doing that, with James Harden. But then my thing too is I don't think his general managers out there telling somebody who got to telling yeah, we finna trade Draymond, we finna trade such and such to any old body. It gets out somehow, but I think GMs and president of basketball operates a little more professional than the hit Woj on the text like, yeah, we finna make this trade. So I think they need to do a better job of these trades weekend because nobody wants to find out they're getting traded, why they're at the middle of lunch or why they're even playing a game like Harrison Barnes. Like that is a little bit. That's an ego shot, especially multi-million-dollar basketball players. Like that's kind of a shot. Am I good enough? Honestly, at this point, you tell me I'm in the middle of a game. So I think they need to do a better job with the leaks coming out. Honestly,
right. And to your point, the Hawks are currently going through a situation similar to this, where all of this is going on, and we're struggling, and this is on John Collins' head, mind, that he's all these articles. But I will say this: that the NBA has done several players wrong like this. Teams have done this. The Hawks have done this. The Hawks did that to Dwight. Dwight had no clue he was going to get traded, and just like that, And I think that. The double standard that Draymond is talking about is saying, oh yeah, man, they're gonna tell it how it is in the league. Oh yeah, it's a business. Yeah, we understand that, but we're in a stage where in society that being harsh and being unnecessarily cruel is unnecessary now. Like it's not cool anymore. That NBA business, it's a business, but there's a way that you can talk to people. And I think people have realized that over time, and that's where Draymond is coming from. Harrison Barnes being pulled off the bench, and Andre Drummond doing his pregame workout, and then he came out in street clothes, and Dwight Howard just tweeting on Twitter saying, how are y'all enjoying NBA free agency? And his own team just traded him to another team without letting him know. So, James Harden was a bad example. I will say, he was extra with it.
Yeah.
But I think James Harden also proved that, if I want to be out of somewhere and y'all won't cooperate, then I won't cooperate. And that's how the players think on as well. So it's tough. It's unfortunate. And like I said, we're in that stage in society where we're calling things out more consistently. And I'm happy that Draymond has called out another flaw in the NBA.
Yeah. I guess too, though, I will say that when you are a player of a talent like Andre Drummond or Blake Griffin, you should when you're on these bad teams or team that's getting worse as the season go, you should already kind of have it in your head that you might get traded. But to your point, Ryan, a heads up, like, hey, maybe we're already because you're already going to already be in those talks anyway. So maybe like, hey, we might be a couple weeks away from trading you. You have now we can ask like, yo, do you want to anywhere you want to go? And that way you don't get just going to Boston when he's already given you a list of teams where you want to go. Like, ask the player sometime as well. Cause like you say, you have to be a little sensitive because some of these players do have families that move around everywhere with them. I don't necessarily agree with that part. Family should be, set up spot somewhere, but some people need that all the time. And you just don't want to keep moving around, honestly, and just renting here, getting a spot there. That's a little bit extra.
And that and there's also plays into a part of just how players react to certain teams. Just think about it. Like we wonder why a lot of players don't want to come to Atlanta. And yes, there might be other, supporting details about that. But just another example, besides the Dwight Howard situation, Quinn Cook was on our training camp roster. And when the Hawks released him, he wasn't notified. And not only was he not notified, he was moving into his apartment while he's finding out. He's moving in right there, probably pays the lease.
Yeah. First month rent. Now you got to pay to get out the lease.
So just Andre Drummond, Harrison Barnes, James Harden. These are not the only players. It happens to small market players.
It was all time.
Yeah, like you just said, I think that's a part that I just thought about just now, Ryan. Like, yeah, like he, threw out some big names. Obviously, talking about Harden, talking about Kyrie with the mental health, taking on a few games off. Drummond and now Blake Griffin in the media, we've seen time and time again just happen in weird ways. People finding out, like you just said, in the middle of a bench, they warming up, they got to take them off the floor, all that. But like you just said, small guys, it happens to them probably more than the big names. Obviously, it happens to them way more often. We know Draymond's the type to speak up. He's going to talk for the players of the league. He's going to speak his mind. So he's not just talking about these big names. I think he used the big names obviously for example, but he's talking about the NBA's as a collective, which is nice and cool to see. I think I definitely see both sides of it. The one side, like I said, just I guess like the respect factor, like you just said, Ryan. Like I think this day and age, like this new generation coming out, they call out and speak up on things that have gone, pretty much fall to the wayside,
right.
Yeah. As long as our society has been running, like you just said, they talk up when basically unnecessary things are happening. We talk about mental health. We we're just more aware of certain things and want to make sure that, I guess like you just said, nothing is just being overlooked and then just falling to the wayside. But at the same time, like I guess like there's some people that's been saying like as an employee, like what does he really want? Like as an employee, this is kind of like your stipulation. Like everybody has a job that they don't like certain stuff about their job, and this may be one of the things that NBA players have to deal with that they don't like about their job.
Exactly.
But at the same time, like same thing kind of with the job. I know it's not the same. Obviously not the same. Like they're making multi-millions, but
definitely.
I don't know if it's me, but sometimes I know it's other people, other friends I got. Like if they're working a certain job and they not showing like that same respect, or it's like whatever they're doing is mentally affecting them, they up and quit. They go. All right, what's the joke nowadays? Like millennials, we don't stay at no jobs.
Right.
They don't stay at jobs. They don't. Yeah. I was like, I know it's a little bit different, obviously, because it's the NBA, and they can't just leave. Like what's going overseas.
Right.
Like you still get paid. Yeah, it's just not the same. Like, but they still deserve, that the respect factor and just, that because they're all humans at the end of the day. They just deserve, that respect, whether it is like, hey, like giving them a heads up, you may be traded, whatever the case may be, or doing a better job of keeping it under wrap. Maybe it's just the reporters are just doing a hell of a job at their jobs.
That's why I put on the media, like, because that's who's ever leaking these truths out. Like, I know you can't find all of it out there, but it's like you gotta control a bit of like there shouldn't be a John Collins story every other.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Who's talking? Like, get them out of there.
Yeah, it's too much chattering going on, and like I said, I don't know if it is in the front, like not obviously the top guys in the front office, but if it's somebody that's around them in their circle to where they're kind of leaking certain stuff out to the to news outlets, to the media, like they gotta stop that, because it's just creating an influx, and like you said, Draymond now talking up about it and letting it be known, something that's gone kind of like on way too long. But I definitely see both sides of it. I wish, like I said, it just probably just comes to that. They're gonna have to be some type of stipulations to where like even though I don't think the media really has stipulations like this. Like if they get in news, they're gonna let it out. Yeah, they're gonna break it. Like everybody's trying to be the first. Like that's just the journalism business. So it just, I guess, has to come from the front offices and just being more mindful and being more aware and just having a little bit more respect. Because like I said, at the end of the day, it is a business, but
I say even the front office is like a business. Like, wow, a lot of stuff's probably get leaked while somebody's at lunch with a certain age,
Yep.
certain client.
Right, talking, don't even know. Like,
don't even know who listening.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody about it. Yeah,
yeah.
Like let's leave work in the front office.
Exactly.
I would love to see like Adrian Wojnarowski or maybe like a young and upcoming reporter that's really in tune with like ESPN and the NBA to kind of figure out, do a segment of how players feel about, media outlets leaking certain rumors and falsifying stories, gaslighting, because there's a lot of that, because just the way the reports were a month ago, you just thought Trae Young and John Collins were straight beefing. Like,
right, definitely.
Yeah, when it wasn't like that at all.
I like that idea, actually.
Yeah. I think it gotta happen. It should happen. I don't know if it's gonna be from one of them because they're just the breaking news guys, but it'll definitely be from some type of reporters in the media. But all in all, like I said, it is a business, but at the same time, these guys are what makes your business run the way it is. Like if this isn't any of these star athletes, like you have no NBA to run. Like you have nothing, to market and put out there and make all these millions of dollars. So I think it just has to be, respect factor between the two. But I think it's mostly because, like we just said, it's obviously the media that's letting it out, but whoever's getting this information to the media so like fluently and effectively and just so out. It's like they blabbering. It's like they just got it all, on a blog, like printed out in Word.
Some behind the scenes plotting.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
But again, appreciate you fellas for coming on. We're gonna wrap it up. Our last little segment that we're gonna do today is just a little too early awards. I just got 3 for right now. We can maybe do other few mentions. I just thought about it, maybe 6 man or most improved. But right now I got MVP, defensive player of the year, and coach of the year. So like I said, fun little way to end the show. Just kind of talk about the guys that you feel like may be deserving of these awards, and we can add in 6 man of the year as well. And then, like I said, just who you think is more deserving of these awards and why?
MVP. Right now, honestly, I got Joel Embiid as the MVP, especially after last night's game.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Simmons dropping 42, Tobias Harris scoring 25. They still lose almost by 15 points. I know a lot of those points came at the end of the game, but you don't have a player out there that could challenge Gobert, honestly. Like Dwight Howard isn't that anymore. Mike Scott's too small. Ben Simmons, who can get down there and guard, you don't want to get him stuck down in the post because now he can't get out into the into the open courts. Joel Embiid, who's also putting up big numbers, almost 28 and 11. I think his last 4 or 5 games, he's basically 30 and 12. A couple blocks. He can hit he can hit threes, and he just affects how he plays offensively and defensively. Because he is a true defensive anchor. Then you can throw the ball in the post as well. Defensive player of the year. I haven't really thought about defensive player of the year. Honestly, if I can go real quick, it'll probably just be Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
he has been like on another level defensively this year. Of the year, I'm going to Quinn Snyder what he doing in Utah right now because he got them boys balling honestly. And then Jordan Clarkson, 6 man. Yeah, I don't think no 6 man is having a better year than him right now.
No way. 40 points off the bench.
Yeah. So like, Embiid, Simmons, Quinn Snyder, and Jordan Clarkson for MVP, defensive player, coach of the year, 6 man.
For my MVP, and I'm not knocking Joel Embiid. I think me personally, it's kind of hard to take him serious.
I respect it.
If Joel Embiid deserves the MVP this year, he needs to take his team to the finals. Because normally we'll find out some awards right before the finals or right after the finals. I think if he's able to take the 76ers to the finals, then he should be considered for MVP. But for right now, it's between LeBron James and Steph Curry for me. LeBron James in his 18th year, doing what he's doing, still playing at a high level. There's no drop off. And it's like, ever since his last year in Cleveland, like you thought, okay, he's with the Lakers now. He's probably going to slow down. Yeah, he missed the playoffs his first year, but he won the championship his second year.
Yeah,
just came from the bubble, and now he's still playing at the high level that he's playing. And And I don't recall him missing the game yet. Because if he missed the game, it would be reported. LeBron James, if LeBron James misses the game,
yeah, I don't think he's missed the game this year.
right? Yeah. And so he's still giving his all. I also say Steph Curry for MVP because the way they started off, and it was trying Steph. It was trying Steph. It was coming for him. And I think Steph has done a great job of rallying the troops and getting those players on one accord. And even though they're not a bad team, Golden State is not a bad team. Like they may have a lot of role players now due to Clay being out and just having kind of like a personnel swap. Steph Curry still getting buckets, and you can't ignore that. Honorable mention: Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, this man, he's carrying that team through the West without CJ. CJ been gone for a minute, so that's my honorable mention. Rudy Gobert is my defensive player of the year so far. He's leader in blocks, rebounds. He's doing a great job with Utah. Like I said, Utah is doing a hell of a job this year. Kind of reminds me of the 60-win Hawks team. Because they're having a magical season. Like if you've seen some of their highlights, they're doing some things that they normally wouldn't do in a basketball game. So this is definitely their year. But I would love to see them do it again next year. Jaylen Brown, most improved, and you can also throw Brandon Ingram in there as well because and I think Brandon Ingram should have been considered last year too because he made a big leap last year. But Jaylen Brown, most definitely because we already knew Jason Tatum was that type of guy. Jaylen Brown needed to, Jaylen Brown is supposed to be similar to Jason Tatum, kind of like of a Robin. But now the fact that they're kind of like matching numbers a little bit, Jaylen Brown is taking a big leap. And I hate that he signed that extension in Boston because I feel like he can kind of lead his own way on a different squad. That's just me, though. And Coach of the Year, Quinn Snyder, no doubt. The Jazz have always been a middle of the pack team. They're finally making over the hump. Donovan Mitchell got something going on, and Quinn Snyder got some magic in him. So I'm appreciating the type of ball that Utah is playing because it's a different team that we normally don't talk about. Yeah. And the media is still disrespecting them like they disrespect every other team who plays well if you're not named Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, Houston, et cetera, et cetera. So that's that.
Yeah, you're right. To piggyback off, we're gonna sweep it off. I'm gonna start with the coach of the year, Quinn Snyder, as well, because ain't no way. Well, I was about to say I can't say ain't no way it's supposed to be where they are, but they doing it without literally adding really anything in the offseason. Like they going in there with the same squad, honestly. Just a little bit more healthier. Mike Conley, I think should be coming back in the fold soon, but everybody has just stepped it up to another level on that team as a whole. And I feel like I've been watching a lot more Utah basketball than I used to in the past. It's it is like you just said, Ryan, it's a delight to see. And I think Donovan Mitchell, he has been playing well all year, but I know he for real just feel like he just took off once Shaq disrespected him the way he did on national TV. I was like, come on, bro. It's like, stop it, please. Like,
that's the type of motivation the Hawks need. Somebody needs to say something to offend them.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that. But they've been great to see. 6-man Jordan Clarkson. I think I told you too, John. I had to pick him up in fantasy basketball because man was going off. My dumbness, I forgot to put him in the lineup because he was off a few games. So I had like 200 something points on the bench. He had like 60. I was pissed. But yeah, 6-man of the year for sure. Most improved guy we just played last night, Julius Randle. Ridiculous. 44-point game. Like that shot he hit towards the end, last 2 minutes when he took that step back on Herter, like behind the backboard. I was like, when he hit that, I knew he was about to lose. Like we was only still down like 5, but I was like, ain't no way he was supposed to make that. Then he hit a 3 at the top of the key as well. I was like, at the end of the shot clock too, like shot clock going off. I was like, ain't no way he's supposed to make that splash. So most improved. It's cool to see him and the Knicks, I guess, be where they are. I think they 7th or 6th or 7th right now in the East. Yeah, ridiculous. MVP, I don't know. I got it. I'm a LeBron guy, so I want to go with LeBron. And like you just said, Ryan, he hasn't missed a game. He's averaging the same numbers he typically does, 26, 8 and 8. Like we see this every year from him. We always say he could honestly have MVP every single year, but it's just something about this year. I think what's really going to elevate him though is how he keeps his Lakers squad rolling without AD in the fold. And they already, I guess, are off to a good start with winning their last few games. I think they won tonight as well. So that's what's going to separate him. But I definitely see Embiid taking it. Embiid is having a monster season. I think even probably like a conference. More likely, LeBron probably if he's gonna keep up this pace and he gets them to where we think he's gonna get them. Then he more likely will win. But I think Embiid just gotta really get them to maybe a conference, like maybe game 6, game 7 type, like against the Nets or something like that. And he could very well just be right there with LeBron punch for punch.
Yeah, it also I think for Embiid to win, it also depends because I still don't think that the Sixers are getting past Brooklyn or Milwaukee. I can't take the Sixers serious. So even if he does get to a conference finals, I think if he were to lose the conference finals, I think it's the way he would lose would determine if he gets the MVP. Because I'm not knocking that he doesn't deserve it, but I think what Embiid, like with the trust of the process and with everything that he has said to the media just about himself, he got to prove it. You have to show us. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to give you anything because you have created kind of like a target in a way. So yeah,
I can feel that. Yeah, but I like the way he's balling out for sure. And you say that might be what needs to happen. And last one, Defensive Player of the Year. I'm gonna go with I think Steven off the ball. He opened our eyes to it. Simmons has been incredible defensively all year. I think he's been at the top of the defensive efficiency and ratings pretty much every single week. Rudy Gobert definitely probably right there, stride for stride. It's probably gonna come down to those two because he's showing why they gave him that money. He's kind of the reason why they running the way they running right now. Like you ain't got to worry like defensively and rebounding wise, you ain't got to worry about nothing. Rudy got all that. Everybody else, we got Donovan Mitchell, playmaker, surrounded by shooters and solid defensive players. It's just showing the formula, honestly, at the moment. And Ryan put it perfectly. Kind of reminds us of the 60-win Hawks right now because Horford was kind of like that guy in the paint, held it down. Paul Millsap, took another step that year. He was, kind of just the anchor of it all. And then everybody else just did their role. Damari and Kyle, 3-and-D. Did what they were supposed to do. So, but I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you fellas for sure. For hanging out with me tonight. Definitely a loaded show. I love to always talk about the Hawks and get some NBA news in afterwards. John, of course, want to give you the pleasure. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Definitely, man. Find the Hoopers Pod anywhere you listen to podcasts at Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon Play. Every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Not 8 a.m. 9 a.m. But Hoopers Morning Run on Off Network on Facebook. Monday and Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. The Hoopers Hour on Nothing But That Radio on Dash Radio. You can catch us on Twitter at Hoopers Pod and on Instagram at @the_HoopersIG.
Yes, sir. And then Ryan, of course, let everybody know where they can find you. I know he'll probably be on these a lot more with us. In the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, just Twitter, Instagram, Real Deal Ryan. I don't have any necessarily sports content. I just watch it, but I just, I love talking sports. So, if you have any questions about me regarding the Atlanta Hawks specifically, yes, I'll be open to having any type of conversation with you. Real Deal Ryan on all social media platforms.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you already know where to find me at on Twitter, WTGM TM Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. What the game means to me as well. Appreciate everybody for flying through with us. Definitely will be doing these a little bit more. Hopefully, we always say this, especially last 2 episodes. Hopefully, with a little bit more winning and higher spirits for our Hawks. But that's why I left out. I didn't tell you, Ryan, but the last 2 times we done did these, we look forward to the next 3-4 games. We kind of predict, where we'll fall, and we say, oh, we can definitely win these 3-4, and they'll probably lose that one. And we always lose every single one, and maybe take one of them. So I was like, yeah, let me not even add that today. Maybe we'll go on a winning streak after this one. So
let's just see what happens then.
Exactly. We'll see what happens, and we'll see you guys in another week or two, and hopefully with some better and greater news. But appreciate everybody for sticking with us tonight, and watching, and commenting and everything. And we'll see you guys next time.